Hey everybody, I decided to film a tutorial for how to, one, do the homework for week 8, and two, to kind of, how to read a scientific paper. I know I asked a lot of you how to, if you guys have read scientific papers or if you're used to it at the beginning, and most everybody said you have read one. But through this class, I've seen that some people are having some difficulties understanding some papers, and that's completely normal. When I was an undergrad, I know that whenever I saw a scientific research paper, I was like, oh, that's a lot of pages, that's a lot of words. This seems fairly unorganized, and I don't understand, and I don't know where to start. Because we also don't always have the 1-2 hours time to dissect everything on a paper and fully understand everything, especially if it's using like methodology that we have never heard of, or if they're using terms we've never heard of, yada yada yada, all that good stuff. But hopefully this will remain short and will help you all. I filmed one of these beforehand, and I used one of the extra papers for the learning showcase that wasn't being used. And I filmed it all. It took about 25 minutes. I realized, one, it's too long, and two, the paper was really bad. It was a good paper. It got a lot of cool info, but it was very hard to understand. I think it could have been written a lot better, but that's just my opinion. Not all papers are written super easy, but maybe it's just because it wasn't my field of expertise. A lot of times, whenever I read a paper that is like far removed from what I do, I am super confused because I don't understand any of it, and because the audience it's written for is not me. It's written for somebody within that field, which I think is a darn shame. I think any well-written scientific paper could be picked up by anybody with a high school education. I mean, not always. Sometimes it's just sometimes things are just complicated, but I hope to at least suggest. But that's besides the point. So I went ahead and found a different paper online. One I've never read before, so I'm going into this kind of blind. But I did read the abstract to make sure I wasn't going to fumble around like I did the last recording. So hopefully this will help you all. So here, let's start with the first question. What's the title of the paper? I chose this one. Pardon me. I had a burp there. Ketamine reverses the impaired fear memory extinction and accompanied depressive-like behaviors in adolescents. Most of this should be pretty understandable. We don't all know what ketamine is. It is an opioid drug. A lot of people use it for abuse. However, ketamine also has a lot of really cool therapeutic effects, but it's just hard to do research on it because the government's very strict about who can do ketamine research, which I guess is understandable. So for this first question, we will just copy and paste the title. There's nothing else we have to really do. I do kind of want this to match the rest of the paper's format, so I'm going to go ahead and change the... Come on, stay. I can't get to stick. We're going to go ahead and change the font to Calibri 11. There we go. So now it matches the paper. Zoom in a little bit so you guys can see better. All right, so what was the title of your paper? Ketamine, blah, 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 blah. All right, part 1 done. So kind of to dissect the paper really quickly, now that we're actually kind of getting into it, whenever you open up a paper, it'll show you like which journal it's from. Then it'll tell you like the title. Then it'll tell you all the authors. The first author is the person who wrote everything. They're kind of the person who did the experiment. And the person on the end is usually like the lab head, or they'd call it the correspondent, meaning that's who you talk to. If I click on that, yeah, I'll show you. Asterisk corresponding authors. So in this situation, Wen Ying Qin, I hope I pronounced that right, is the corresponding author, meaning they're the head of the lab here. Sometimes papers will have multiple ones, but yeah, you can see here, Mei Dan also was Mei Dan Wei, but she's the one. I assume that's a she wrote it. So we'll ignore that. You can also see like what they're affiliated with. You can see this came from a Chinese lab. A lot of papers come from Chinese labs. They got a lot of really cool research there. Then they have usually keywords that tell you like, hey, what is this paper about? Then tells you the abstract, which as we know is a summary of the paper. I read the abstract. They have a really well-written abstract. This is a very well-written paper from my understanding from reading this just one paragraph. They're good at. Granted, I do understand all this stuff. It is my field of research, but I think they still put it in very well written language. So in a paper, we have the introduction, which kind of gives us all the background knowledge we need to understand the paper. Not always, but usually it does. And then usually they talk about, sometimes like here you see our previous studies, they talk a little bit about what they've done so far that led up to this. And then they'll say like, okay, but this is what we don't know. So let's see if we can see that really quickly. Considering the relationship, doesn't look like it, but hey, here's the question. Considering the relationship between ketamine and its rapid antidepressant function, we hypothesize that ketamine can facilitate the fear memory extinction and exhibit an antidepressant effect. Therefore, the aim of the study was to further evaluate if ketamine can reverse the impaired memory function extinction and the depressive-like state in adolescent mice. Wow, perfect. We can kind of just copy and reword this. So what is the research question in the paper? We'll go ahead and copy and paste this, just so we have it as reference. Does ketamine reverse the impaired fear memory extinction and the depressive-like state in adolescent mice? Does ketamine reverse the impaired function memory extinction? Yep, there we go, perfect. I slightly reworded it. If you copied and pasted directly from the paper and didn't change anything, please just say the author said da 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 da, so you're properly citing it. Rule of thumb: if you ever cite somebody, or if you quote a paper or take information from a paper and you cite them, you get like bonus points because you cited something properly, and we all love that. If you don't cite it, you get in trouble because that's plagiarism. So always cite it, even if you're like, they know it's from the paper. I mean, unless the assignment is like directly linked, it's almost always best to do it. Safer than sorrier. So there we go. That's the research question of the paper. Done. Full points, full credit. Yay. 1.5. So what is the take-home message of the paper? So what is the point of this paper? Like, what do they want us to get out of it? Sometimes in the introduction at the very end, they'll go ahead and just tell you what the answer is. Let's see. Did they? Moreover, since many studies, blah, blah, blah. No, this is just more background knowledge. Yeah, so they just said, so we also studied whether synaptic plasticity was involved in this phenomenon. But that's just additional. That's not their overall question. That's that. All right, so some papers have methods and materials and methods at the end. Some of them have them right here. I like it when it's right here. You can see the animals they use. So here they use C57 black mice, male. That kind of does concern me. I like it when my papers do both male and female mice because sometimes there is sex-related effects. I haven't read this paper, so maybe they gave me a good reason for why they didn't do that. But usually when they just do male mice and not female mice, the reason is laziness. So that's critique number one from this paper. It tells the drugs, the types, the open field test. I think we remember that one. I think we went over that. There's a forced swim test. That's kind of similar to one of the ones we learned. There's a pain threshold test. And yeah, so these are all the methodologies they used. All the tests they did. Then they had electrophysiological recordings, and then they did statistical analysis. We don't care about statistical analysis because it's a lot of words, and I don't like a lot of words. And then they tell us the results. This paper is very well organized. So essentially, for this one, it tells you the main results. So like effects on ketamine administration on our locomotor activity, and I don't know what FSD is in adolescent mice. They're going to just tell you everything that happened. And the other thing, then it's really well grouped up. So if you were really just running out of time, you could just read these headliners and kind of get a gist for what they're saying. here is just all the graphs. By the way, sometimes whenever you look at a graph like this and you're like, wow, it's a lot. What does this mean? Usually the first sentence just tells you. Like, it's just a summary of all this garbage. Ketamine facilitated the fear memory extinction, refers to the accompanied depressive like behavior in adults and mice. That's cool. That actually might be a take-home message. But yeah, that's just all the summarized, and it kind of orients you, so you don't like look at this and you're like, okay, but what does it mean? And so after you get all the results of the discussion, they have this very nicely. The major findings of the study were as follows. First, ketamine can facilitate There's a second, and then there's a third, is there a fourth? And lastly, a fourth. So that's cool. All the results are right there in the beginning of the discussion. That's a well-written paper. Altogether, our results, take-home message, suggested that the rapid antidepressant effects of ketamine may result from its facilitation, the memory, blah, 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 blah. That sounds like our take-home message. We can say, so we want to remember, the take-home message is a rewording of the research question. So does ketamine reverse it? Yeah. Ketamine reverses the impaired fear memory extinction and has antidepressive, but it has antidepressive, I think just effects. Yeah, there we go. Effects in adolescent mice. Super cool. Oh, fighting me. Antidepressive. It's not like this. Here we go. Spell ketamine right. All right, yeah. So that's the take-home message. Ketamine does reverse the impaired fear memory extinction and has antidepressive effects in adolescent mice. See, completely just reworded, and yeah, super easy. If I was to draw this visual model based on your paper, include a figure legend. Let's just get out MS Paint real quick. MS Paint. Let's make ourselves a quick visual model, just because this is a very easy one. Otherwise, I wouldn't want to waste y'all's time. But in this situation, I would just font tool. Let's just get a pencil tool. Can we do that? Yeah, there we go. So here's our rat, or our mouse, actually. Let's go ahead and get two of them. Control C, Control V. It's very beautiful. And one of the things that let's just plus. This is our, I don't know if they injected it. We're just going to pretend they injected it. That's easier. All right. Let's say ketamine. What was the other thing we gave them? Oh, here we go. We can just look at this. Saline. They gave saline instead of ketamine. Cool. All right. Let's go ahead and just write that again. Saline. So that was the control. And we'll just say that this mouse is depressed as hell. Sorry, language. I shouldn't have said that. All right. Let's go ahead and just depress. And this isn't a very accurate take-home message. So we're just going to take that, Control C, Control V. There we go. And let's just take this and Control C, Control V. Just do happy. Is this perfectly accurate to the take-home message? No, we should probably have something about how this causes fear extinction, and fear extinction is like forgetting something that scares you. But if I had to just, do something really quickly, there we go. There's our, just on top of it. There we go. There's our, we'll include a figure legend. I don't want to write one right now. You guys can do it. You know what figure legend is. Not a key, figured legend describing this. If I had to say it, it'd be like ketamine. It'd just be the take-home message, pretty much. I would probably say it. But yeah, that's how you do the homework. That's how you read one of the papers. Just get everything done quickly and summary. When you look at one of these papers, title, sometimes it's word salad and it's hard to understand. I probably like half the papers I read have some title that's just like incomprehensible. So don't feel crazy when you don't understand one. The introduction, at the end of the introduction, it tells us what they want to know and then what they asked. They were great here and just said, we hypothesize, and literally just gave us our question here, their hypothesis. And then when we tried to find the take-home message, we found it very easily in our discussion. Usually the discussion almost always has it, at least in the beginning. And then they go into more details. They talk about limitations. They kind of get into the nitty-gritty of, okay, but why did we see what we did? What are the potential mechanisms? What are our future directions? And we didn't even have to look at any of the figures this time, which is cool. Sorry, I'm kind of scrolling really quick and fast, but yeah, that is how to do the homework and kind of how to understand a paper. We took one paper, and pretty quickly we learned something new about ketamine. We figured what they did. We don't know how they did it. We didn't look at the details, but we figured out enough to get ourselves oriented for the entire paper. So when we actually read everything in more detail and look at every single one of the graphs, and then see how the graphs wrap into our take-home message. So that would be our evidence and our claims. Then, yeah, should be a lot easier to do it now that we got this done. But thank you all for watching this. Hopefully it didn't take too long. Hopefully it'll help you all out. And yeah, I'll see if you got any questions. Don't be afraid to email me. But this might be reused for other classes, and if that's so, then don't email me because I've graduated and I don't want to hear from you. Okay, bye.